Israeli military expert David Sharp believes that it was crazy for the Russian dictator to strike the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. The topic of nuclear weapons is quite sensitive, so the Kremlin has long been warned against using them, David Sharp recalled. And suddenly, on the eve of peace talks, when Russia should have behaved as beautifully as possible, Putin gave the order to strike a nuclear facility in Ukraine. There is no logic in this action. And one thing can be said for sure, that this will definitely not improve Russia's reputation in the eyes of the West, but will only worsen it. David Sharp spoke about this on the air of the OdesaLIVE. The military expert outlined his thoughts on the topic of the Russian drone strike on the Chornobyl nuclear power plant. In this case, a deliberate attack on the fourth power unit is something crazy. Why crazy? It's not even that it really posed a serious danger, but playing with nuclear safety and intentionally, and we are talking about such a symbolic and specific facility as the Chornobyl nuclear power plant, then this kind of footage and this kind of incident suggests that Putin is ruining Russia's reputation and makes many wonder if he is in his right mind. So it is hard for me to imagine that they want to intimidate Ukraine or the West with such actions. It is irritating, it is surprising, but it ruins the reputation. Russia, as they say, shot itself in the foot, in my opinion, from an international point of view. They did it intentionally, and this is very strange, especially now, because even before they avoided such actions, that is, I do not think that this is a signal of some kind of unwillingness to negotiate or desire. How they will negotiate, time will tell. Trump has tools to put pressure on Russia, and a lot depends on him, David Sharp explained. Recall a Russian Shahed drone armed with a high explosive warhead struck the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in February, piercing the new arch-shaped containment structure, protecting reactor number 4, the reactor that was responsible for the world's biggest civil nuclear disaster in 1986. The impact triggered a fire and compromised the integrity of the shelter, which was built in 2016 to contain the reactor's radioactivity. People at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant felt they had managed to avoid the worst. It's a good thing we didn't start dismantling the sarcophagus. Otherwise, the consequences of the radiation would have been very different, confided an employee at the site who asked to remain anonymous, speaking to Le Monde. Called the new safe confinement, the containment structure the drone struck was erected in order to begin dismantling the sarcophagus, which has many structures that have not been repaired. There is corrosion and other risks, explained the source on Chernobyl's staff. This work is planned. As soon as the sarcophagus top is removed, radiation levels under the containment arch will immediately rise.
The Russians lost the state-of-the-art TOS-2 Tasachka flamethrower system near Pokrovsk. Accordingly, the photos were published by the national news portal TYSCH on Telegram with reference to the user Aloha in the X network. The photos taken by the Russian military near Pokrovsk showed the first loss of a Russian TOS-2 Tasachka heavy flamethrower system. The system was used by the Russians against the Ukrainian defense forces and was destroyed by an unknown weapon, which caused a fire in which it burned. The enemy system was destroyed in the village of Petrivka, Pokrovsk district. The first use of the new heavy flamethrower system was reported in October 2023, when the Russian Ministry of Defense officially confirmed that the system was being used in the war against Ukraine. TOS-2 Tasachka is a modernized version and further development of the TOS-1 Buratino and TOS-1A Solnsipek heavy flamethrower systems, which are already in service with the Russian army. The system was developed by NPO Splav. The launcher is based on the Ural 637066 6x6 truck. Unlike TOS-1 and TOS-1A, which use tracked chassis of T-72 or T-90 tanks, respectively. The TOS-2 cab has been armored to protect the crew from small arms fire. The wheeled chassis increases the launcher's efficiency, mobility, and range. The developers state that the system can use modernized projectiles that allow it to fire at a greater distance than the TOS-1A missiles, which have a range of 6 kilometers. Militarny previously reported that in June 2024, the Russian Ministry of Defense presented its new TOS-3 Dragon flamethrower system with an extended range for the first time.
Ukrainian military expert Oleg Kadirov says that Ukraine has been using Western F-16 fighters for some time now, not only as an air defense system. This jet is already doing this. There are photos that are leaking online. We can say with confidence that if a photo of this F-16 appeared 2 weeks ago, then the Russians saw it. It shows an F-16 carrying small diameter bombs. Therefore, it is clear that the F-16 used small caliber, long range, small diameter bombs to strike Russian targets in the Kursk region. This is simply a fact, Kadirov said. He also, referring to a photo on the internet, suggested that Ukraine could have used Western fighters to destroy Russian aircraft. Recently, a photo of an F-16 landing after a long mission appeared in one Telegram channel, and its weapons are visible. One missile is missing, an AIM-9C. This is a version of the missile that has a range of 105 to 120 kilometers, and it fired it at some Russian aircraft, perhaps during a mission to cover other aircraft that were carrying out bombing strikes. So yes, F-16s are already being used as an aircraft, a multi-role fighter, the expert added. Recall recently new combat images confirmed that Ukraine's F-16 fighters are carrying advanced American-made missiles, marking a major boost to their air defense capabilities. This expansion of Ukraine's F-16 capabilities represents a significant evolution in its air combat operations. It combines defensive and offensive capabilities with advanced electronic warfare systems specifically tailored for the Russian threat environment. Beyond air defense, Ukrainian F-16s are now conducting ground attack missions near the front lines. The fighters carry GBU-39/B small diameter bombs, which offer high accuracy and useful standoff range against semi-hardened static targets. Each aircraft can carry multiple bombs, with large numbers available in NATO stockpiles. The jets are also equipped with sophisticated protection systems. These include the AN/ALQ-131 pod for radar threat defense, and the Danish-made Pylon Integrated Dispensing System Plus, which can detect incoming missiles and deploy countermeasures. These electronic warfare systems were specifically optimized against Russian threats with US Air Force assistance. The war zone notes, adding that combat data being shared back to improve capabilities for both countries. However, challenges persist in Ukraine's F-16 program. After losing its first F-16 and pilot in August 2024, some deliveries have faced delays. The Belgian Ministry of Defense cites pilot training and spare parts shortages as key issues. Despite these setbacks, recent deliveries of Dutch F-16s have arrived, contributing to the promised total of approximately 85 aircraft from NATO allies, including 24 from the Netherlands, 19 from Denmark, and 12 from Norway, with Belgium pledging 30.